It's Kevin Keatsman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. I'm Kevin Keatsman on a Friday. We're rolling to the weekend. Looks like a pretty nice day ahead. Not sure about the weekend. Could rain again tomorrow, but we hope you have a great one and you're having a nice time listening to KCMO Talk Radio today. Always great to have you on board. We appreciate you listening very much. Pete off today with a little family time, I think, which is awesome. I don't know anybody that deserves it more than him. There are obviously some gentlemen here that work that have equal opportunity for those sorts of things, and we just really appreciate the fact that Pete gets a little time with his family. He works very hard to put this whole thing together, and I'm just a little cog in the machine, if you will, but I sure have a lot of great admiration for how hard he works, how many hours he works, how many days he works, and I hope he is totally disconnected from all of it today because the world's on fire. And you don't need that when you're trying to have a little summertime with the family. We're going to talk about Elon and Trump to start the show in just a moment or two. We'll also get into what I think is a really great Supreme Court ruling from an Ohio woman who is straight that had a gay boss, and she was passed over once for a job and then demoted once, and the person put in her position. Both of the people that got those jobs were gay. This went through a whole bunch of liberal courts against her and went to the Supreme Court, and you won't believe what happened when it got to the Supreme Court. It was a big week for Dem lunacy. We'll get into some of those things today, and of course, we will check in with Mark Van Parlay. I don't even know yet. I didn't even bring it up because I really don't watch the NBA, but the finals started last night, and I looked at a little bit of it. I'm watching it, and it wasn't a close game, and it wasn't particularly interesting. And then it was just the greatest ending ever. And I missed it. I wasn't even watching live. I don't know what's happened to me, but I'm sure Mark had something on the game, and we'll find that out. And our boy Jack Caglione with the Royals is officially struggling in his first week in Major League Baseball. It's all ahead on Uncanceled, where everybody that I know is talking about Elon and Trump. And the big question I have, and when you host a show or you're in media, the question is, do you treat this like it's a serious story, like something's on the line and this really matters? Or do you treat this like a celebrity story, like a couple in Hollywood breaking up? And I don't have the answer today. I'm going to try to make a case for both. I think most people look at it as we're Americans, and what we, as a body, as a culture, as a country, we're mostly shallow people first that don't really give a crap about much. We just take our lives for granted and go about our own way and do what we like to do and like people to stay out of our way and all that stuff. Spend our time on TikTok and Instagram and whatever it may be. Or it could be, look, this is as old as time. I don't mean to pick on social media or TikTok. You know, my mom every day loves to do the crossword puzzles. Well, that takes a lot of time too. And everybody has things that they love to do. Some people want to read a book, go for a walk, play golf. I'm going to play golf later today, weather permitting. So we all have these things, but we love to fill our social time together talking about people that we all know. And if you say, hey, you know Steve that lives down the street, and your buddy goes, nah, I don't think I know that. Well, the story at that point dies. The story's no good. Because, you know, Steve got in a fight with his wife, and then this, well, nobody cares because the guy doesn't know Steve. Everybody knows Elon Musk and Donald Trump. So this is America's story today. And I think maybe at a 70-30 ratio, this is a celebrity spat. This belongs on E! News or Entertainment Tonight or People Magazine more than anything else. That's where it belongs. Let me remind you that Elon Musk was the perfect person for the job to come in and do something as creative and as important as starting Doge. Because he was a special employee of the federal government, he could only stay, I think, up to 150 days or 130 days, whatever it was, before they'd have to swear him in, put him in a cabinet position, do all this other stuff, which he was never going to do. His Tesla shareholders weren't going to allow him to do that. He's the richest man in the world for a reason, because he runs these companies. He builds rockets. They got robo-taxis getting ready to debut here in just a few days. They're going to roll this thing out. I don't know anything about stocks. I don't know that much about Tesla or technology. But if Tesla's robo-taxis work, it's a game changer. It's a completely new business in the United States. I mean, your Uber Eats will now, half your fries will not be eaten by the Uber Eats driver because a robo-taxi's bringing them. Nobody's going to touch them. I mean, it really is a big deal. I don't ride in a lot of rideshare cars. I've never had food delivered to my house other than a pizza. So, but I know what this is going to be. This is what Elon has to go do. So this was going to end either way. But there's an excellent report at the Daily Caller today, which is a terrific website. And the Daily Caller has talked to people at the Trump White House. Now, keep in mind, this is only one side of the story. This is the Trump White House, folks. And they say this started weeks ago when Elon Musk had Doge just kind of doing its thing. He was overseeing it for a couple hours a day, but the staff was in place. He had a really good, important people there doing their thing. And he started poking into different departments because Doge was looking there. And that's when he would say to Trump, we need to have this person at the CIA. And this person would be really good for the IRS. And then he brought up a man named Jared Isaacman, who could be the center of this story if you want to talk about the serious part, not the celebrity part. The serious part is Jared Isaacman was who Elon Musk wanted to run NASA. And I think he had it, and then Trump withdrew it and put somebody else in charge. And that, according to people at the White House and a report at Daily Caller, is how this all started. And it started weeks ago. That Elon Musk, who was brought in there to do a job, that wasn't enough for him. Now, he's the richest man in the world. He has multiple companies, and he rules them all. Yes, there's a board of directors and there's shareholders, but he does what he wants with these companies. He's always done what he wants. Everything he wants with every one of these companies. He got to the federal government, and he realized, I'm not running anything here except Doge. And this thing's on autopilot because he's really good at this. He set his team up. They're in place. They're doing it. And he's like, okay, I'm here. I can help you elsewhere. And I think the answer was no, thank you. We don't want your help elsewhere. Appreciate it. Just keep working on Doge. And maybe he saw himself more as a vice president than a special employee. I don't know. What I do know is what Elon Musk has done is Bush League. It's a term we've always used in sports for somebody who doesn't play the game the right way. They cut corners. People used to think one of the greatest players of all time was Ken Griffey Jr. He used to take batting practice with his hat on backwards. He was like the first player anybody remember with their hat on backwards. Well, it's culturally iconic now. Every podcaster in the world sits in front of a camera with their hat on backwards. But at the time, it was considered Bush League. These things happen. There's certain ways to play. We see cheap shots in the NFL. You say that's Bush League. You see a guy not run out a ground ball in Major League Baseball, it's Bush League. What Elon Musk did was Bush League. You don't accept an assignment, want more, not get it, not have more influence than you were brought in to get, and then take your ball and go home, and when you do, cry that you were mistreated and that the people who are running the place don't know what they're doing. The government is a completely different place than Tesla. It's just a different thing. So the 30% serious part of this story is Elon Musk isn't cut out for government, okay? And we can talk all day long till we're blue in the face about slimy politicians on the grift, not backing up their word, not having backbone, not having the spine. These Republicans aren't strong enough. They're not conservative enough. They're rhinos. We can complain all day, but you know what they understand? They understand how to get something passed. And something that passes is good. Something good that passes, is the better way to say this. Something good that passes is better than something great that fails. And everybody in D.C. knows that if Elon Musk had written this bill, it would have never gotten out of the House. It would have never gotten to the Senate. The bottom line with these two men is they're both right. Elon Musk is 100% right. There needs to be more spending cuts in the big, beautiful bill. We have to find a way to reduce the deficit. The easiest way, always, to reduce your financial problems, no matter what it is, whether it's a business or personal or government, the easiest way is to spend less. Tighten the belt. Just don't spend as much money. It's going to help you. It will pay off. Just get up every day. It's like being on a diet. Don't eat as much. Don't not so many calories. Used to 3,000 calories a day. We're cutting it back to 2. Same thing with your budget. The government doesn't have a mechanism for that. It's too complicated to peel things back. We've known our whole lives that the federal government puts spending in place and it never goes away. All these doomsayers say, Medicare is going to be gone. Social Security is not going to be. I've heard my entire adult life that Social Security is not going to be there. I'm not worried about it. Nothing goes away. They'll print more money. They'll do something. It's not going away. The government is terrible at taking things away. They're great at handing out candy, but they're awful at discipline. And I don't think Elon Musk handles that very well. I don't handle it very well. None of us should handle it very well. But what's the answer? Put a big, beautiful bill together that's perfect and it fails by 50 votes? Gets slaughtered on the House floor and never comes out? You have to do something. The big, beautiful bill is something. 9 out of 10 things in there are very good things. There's a bunch of spending in there we don't like. So they're both right. Trump's more practical than Elon Musk because he's president of the United States. And he's been in government now for 10 years. He knows how this works. He knows the inner workings. And he knows that something has to be passed. Donald Trump's plan and what he really wants is he would love to reduce the deficit by an economy that is blowing the doors off the entire planet. That's what he wants to do. And is he going to cut more as they go through recession? Probably so. But his plan would be over the next 4 years, we're going to have the greatest economy in the history of the world. And we're going to have this trade deficit gone, and it's all going to shore everything up, and just watch. And all of a sudden, the deficit's going to start going backwards because of that. That can work. That's a harder thing to do. That's like trying to hit the home run instead of laying down the bunt to move a runner. It's just harder to do. And they're laying down the bunt to move the runner right now. But let's find a way. Let's find a way to get this done. And these guys fighting is stupid. Apparently they were going to talk today. They were setting up a phone call. And now Trump's being the jerk. It's like, nope, I don't want to talk to him. Elon Musk backed off. He stopped his rocket program yesterday for about 5 hours. And then somebody on Twitter said, that's silly. You're acting like a 2-year-old. Start your rocket program back up. And Elon posted, good advice. You're right. And he did. And there's been indications that he feels bad about what he did and that he was wrong. The Epstein thing was below the belt. If there was Epstein stuff out there about Trump, the Democrats would have exposed it. They had control for 4 years. Oh, they got Trump on Epstein, but they're not busting that out to win the election? Yeah, does that sound like Democrats to you? There's nothing with Epstein. It's fake. So Trump hasn't bid on any of that stuff. Now, this could be for 2 reasons. One, some people think they're setting the Democrats up to demand that it be released so it makes the Democrats look bad because there's nothing there on Trump. The other is people think Trump might be considering a lawsuit against Elon Musk for bringing it up. That would be nasty. That would be the biggest, nastiest public fight in the history of this country between 2 people that everyone on earth knows. These are 2 of the most famous people on earth at odds. Sounds like Elon was willing to talk today and Trump is not. Don't go asleep on this story. It doesn't end because it's Friday. If nothing happens today, that doesn't mean it's not happening Saturday or Sunday. If you have any thoughts, we'll take them. 913-408-7957. The confluence of America's business at the federal level, our elections, our sovereignty, our country, and 2 megastars and a Beverly Hills Hollywood breakup. That's what we have in our hands, folks. This is Uncanceled. You're listening to KCMO Talk Radio. Let's go to the phones. You're on Uncanceled. Happy Friday, everyone. Here is our buddy Walter in Spring Hill on KCMO Talk Radio. Good morning, Walter. How are you, sir?
Pretty good, Kevin. What we've got here, we've got 2 rich and powerful men that are not used to being told no. And the minute that Elon didn't get what he wanted, even though he was right, we do need more cuts, he got mad and he acted like the kid that like you said, got mad and took his ball and went home. And the below-the-belt attacks were very unnecessary. So what he's got to realize that Trump wants to cut more too, but he's got to appease 100 senators and 435 House members to get anything done, which takes an act of God usually to get anything done. So it is my hope that cooler heads will prevail. They both have done great things for the country, and I hope they realize that working together, they can still do great things, even though they don't agree on everything. Work those issues out in private and not air dirty laundry and petty personal attacks out in the open.
I agree with you 100%. I think both men are right, and I'm glad Trump is the president and not Musk, because clearly there would be no bill if Elon Musk were president and nothing would ever get done because he demanded it be done his way, and when he couldn't get those things passed, he would just sit there for 4 years and get nothing done. So let's look at it like this. Like, when I was a kid, heavyweight fights were the biggest thing ever. Muhammad Ali, Frazier, all these great fighters, right? This is 2 undefeated heavyweight fighters going against each other. I've been trying to think for 24 hours now, which one of these guys, whoever went after either of these 2 and won. Like, Trump's completely undefeated, Everybody that's ever come after him has just fallen by the roadside. So I don't know what Musk is thinking. He's the challenger here. But you know what? Most people who've gone after Elon Musk have lost too. So I think they both feel like they're invincible. I mean, we're less than 24 hours in, but it's pretty clear Trump's winning this thing.
Yes, sir. I agree.
So great call, Walter. Always great to hear from you, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you have a great weekend, buddy. Appreciate you very much. Here is Mark calling in on KCMO Talk Radio. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Kevin. Gosh, that's tough now. You slammed all the talking points, and Walter came in and started sweeping them all up in a pile. So it's kind of tough. But I got to tell you, the thing that bothers me the most is when you think about Elon Musk as a business guy, just strictly business. You can't look at the government like that. And as much as we want that to happen, we just can't. The sad thing is when you sucker punch somebody and you refer to this Epstein, that's a tough hill to climb. But in what we really need to focus on is we could really use Elon Musk, his influence, his power, his money, and the Albert Einstein of our age needs to be in the Republican Party. So that's really what I think we got to look at. It's sad. And I just have been so bothered by it. I actually called up one of the congresswomen and said, you got to find Marjorie Taylor Greene. I've seen her out in the different venues with Trump. Somehow you got to try to bring some settlement to this. It's sad. It's just sad.
Well, the good news is Musk isn't going to change his philosophy on things. He's conservative, and he wants the government to cut spending. The other thing is, which would be a very easy way to fix this relationship, in my opinion, is to, at some point, 6 months down the road, whenever, bring Musk back in and say, okay, something here with NASA and SpaceX, we want you to work even closer together, and we want to put you in charge of it. We want to put you in charge of making SpaceX and NASA are even more integrated. And there's more federal funding for that. And if you do that, Elon's the happiest guy in the world.
I agree 100%, Kevin.
So, good call, buddy. Always great to hear from you. You have a great weekend, sir.
You too. Thank you.
Appreciate that very much. Good stuff there from Mark, one of our outstanding listeners. We love him. That's great. So we got a cat fight going on, if you will, between Musk and Trump, which we love. I don't know if anybody saw this local story about North Kansas City. I mean, I'm thinking about moving there. Have you seen this? They're offering $400 to residents that want to throw a party. That's it.
I like it.
I mean, they don't have that in Lenexa. Are you in Olathe, Mark?
Yep.
They have that in Olathe?
Not that I've heard of.
Not that I've heard
I'm
of.
about to go look it up, though.
No, I've never heard John walk in here and say, you know what, I got $400 to throw a party.
Yeah.
You can't buy alcohol with it. You can't buy tents, and you can't buy like a stage for a band to play or something. In North Kansas City, they said the community got so detached from one another socially during COVID, it's not come back together. If you throw a block party, they'll give you $400 toward the party. I'm like, what's the Stroud's Catering is always advertising right here. There it is, $400 worth of Stroud's Catering. If you live in North Kansas City, apply for it and tell them, I want $400 worth of chicken from Stroud's. I'm going to throw a party in my driveway. The whole cul-de-sac's coming down. It's just free money in North Kansas City. You get to do it once a year. If you move, maybe you get this for life. That's $400 a year for life. You live in North Kansas City just to have a good time. Now, there's some common sense legislation by the people in North Kansas City. Always great to have you with us on a Friday afternoon as we're here, Friday morning, as we're headed toward a nice weekend. Looking forward to some fun things this weekend. I saw a story out of the Supreme Court, which sounds like it's really heavy, but this was an easy decision, and it was about a woman in Ohio who's been through a pretty big struggle the last few years. She worked at a job at apparently the Ohio Department of Youth Services, and she's straight and her boss was gay. And a position came open for a promotion, and she applied for it and did not get it. Instead, a lesser qualified gay woman was hired for the job. She didn't think that much of it at the time until a little bit later on. She was demoted a rung, and they hired a gay man to take her position that she'd previously been in. There was nothing in her file that she'd done anything wrong or, whatever. So she decides to sue, and she's not getting any traction because the other side is saying, well, there's no such there's no such thing as reverse racism. She's in the majority. she's white and she's straight, and it was through the culture years of we're going to help people that are in some sort of minority group. But you cannot help people in any way based on that when it affects somebody in the majority. It's not right. There is no such thing as reverse racism. There's only racism or, in this case, discrimination. And that's what this was a discrimination case. This is a sexual discrimination case because gays were getting promoted over straight people by a gay boss. That's discrimination at its core. But it bounced through one court after another. She couldn't win in Ohio. They appeal. It winds up in the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. And the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals says, sorry, you're white and straight. You're in the majority. We got nothing for you. They go to the Supreme Court after this ruling, and the Supreme Court decides they're going to hear it. And they hear the case of Ohio versus Marlene Ames. And yesterday, they rendered their ruling 9-0 in favor of Marlene Ames. Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is African-American, female, wrote the opinion on behalf of the entire court because there's no dissenting opinion. This is a unanimous decision at the Supreme Court that there is no such thing as reverse racism or reverse discrimination. There is only discrimination. That's it. And it doesn't matter. It said there are no distinctions. She wrote there are no distinctions between being in the majority or a minority if you are discriminated against. That is the law of the land. We've known this because the law is very clear about this. It says nobody shall be discriminated against because of their gender, their race, their religion, their color, whatever. Nobody. It doesn't say anything about majorities or minorities. Nobody shall be discriminated against. I've argued my entire sports radio career that Title IX has been misapplied, and if it gets to the Supreme Court, that college football scholarships would be exempted from what Title IX has led to in college athletics. There have been 85 scholarships in college football forever. They're almost all to men, but they are not discriminatory against women. There have been a handful of female kickers in Division I football that have had scholarships. There is no gender discrimination or bias in college football. The best players get the scholarship regardless of race and regardless of gender. But the NCAA is afraid of courts. And so what they did was they started closing down men's sports in college. Swimming and diving for men took a hit. Track and field scholarships took a hit. All these men's sports, baseball has fewer scholarships than softball. They had to find a way to cut back 85 scholarships elsewhere to bring the women to an equal level and give those scholarships to women in college. Volleyball teams are bloated with scholarships, women's basketball teams, track and field, you name it. Most schools have more sports teams for women than men because there's been an imbalance because of the 85 male scholarships. And my argument has been, get this case, somebody, class action, get this thing in front of the Supreme Court. We now have this ruling that discrimination is discrimination. And if, in fact, a handful of females have had Division I football scholarships, how can you exempt those from the discussion and say those are all male scholarships? We have to equal them out. There has to be equality over here with all the rest of the scholarships. We have to have more opportunities for women in the other sports. I think I've said my entire career that could never hold up in a court. Discrimination is discrimination. And cutting men's scholarships to create opportunities for women is just as wrong as a gay boss promoting gay people over a straight person. It's the same thing. We have lived in this culture for decades. Bias is bias. Unfair is unfair. I used to have parents on in the very beginning of this is in the 90s, when I was first starting to do sports talk radio. And parents would be upset that this happened a lot at Mizzou, KU, K-State. Their sons had scholarships. And in the middle of their college career, the scholarships were pulled. They're like, that's it. We can't do this anymore. We're creating women's sports over here. We got to comply with Title IX. We have to have an equal number of scholarships. Well, no, you don't have to have an equal number of scholarships. You have to have equal opportunity. That's it. Not an equal number of scholarships. There's nothing. the 85 football scholarships, nobody's ever once tried to start a Division I women's tackle football team. Nobody. Never. Not at any school ever have women said, we want the school to start a women's college football tackle football team, and we want scholarships. Nobody's tried that. No, they want gymnastics. They want volleyball. They want basketball. They want all these other sports that they like to play. But these 85 have penalized men forever. And now that this ruling has come down, where the Supreme Court has basically said there is no such thing as reverse discrimination. It just doesn't exist. There is only discrimination. I want to see that challenged. I want to see college athletics. You know, we can talk about DEI programs all day long and defunding these schools and the things they do. My passion for a long time has been college athletics and the fact that these boys' men's scholarships in football have screwed over the opportunity. I played in a golf event, a charity golf event one time at Colbert Hills in Manhattan. And on our team was the celebrity golfer was one of the college golfers on the golf team. And he was a kid from Leawood, and he was a good player, really good player, college player. I said, man, what's it like to, play college golf? Are you on scholarship? And he said, I am. I'm on a quarter of a scholarship. I said, a quarter of a scholarship? Yeah, that's all we have. We only have like 4 here for the golf program. I said, what about the girls? Well, they've got like 11. That helps. That's 7 that helps offset the 85. So each program is like that. There are fewer scholarships for baseball players than softball players at almost every school that has both programs. And I said, well, that's kind of sucks. He goes, yeah, you know what? I'd complain, except look what I get to do. I'm not going to be a pro golfer. I don't have any delusions that I'm going to. I'm at a great school playing a world-class golf course every day. We're flying to Maui in a few weeks to play in a tournament. They're putting me up at a nice hotel. I get all this swag, all this golf gear. I get great coaching. I'm becoming the best player I can possibly be. What that is, I don't know. But I get to go to college, and part of my college experience is traveling the country playing the best golf courses that America has to offer. And I'm like, boy, that is a level-headed young man who totally gets it. And now we've gotten to a place where NIL is destroying college athletics. And we don't have enough young people that are like, wow, this is a pretty good deal. I get a quarter. My parents are thrilled that their son gets a quarter of a scholarship. And free, meals and clothes and all this stuff, and gets to travel around and play golf. I'd have been thrilled to have a kid that get that. But somehow we get tied up in the weeds of all the stupid stuff. And one of the stupidest, most discriminatory things out there is in college athletics. 85 scholarships for football should be exempted from the conversation. Those scholarships are not gender specific. When you have men's basketball and women's basketball, they are gender specific. They should be equal. And how in the world is it equal that a baseball team has fewer scholarships than a softball team? I really wish they'd challenge that. This was a big court decision, and this wasn't close. This was the Democrats going, okay, yeah, well, we had this little game we played in America for 30 or 40 years, and we really hoodwinked a lot of people on a lot of this stuff, but it's over. The hoodwinking is over. The term reverse discrimination is toast. There is no such thing. There's only discrimination. The Supreme Court screamed that from a mountaintop on Thursday, and I love it. Dave Chappelle, the comedian, did an interview on a podcast this past week, and he was asked about Donald Trump, and he said, look, I wasn't surprised the first time he was elected. If you go back, there's some stand-up about Chappelle where he's like, yeah, well, you could see it. And he makes some funny jokes about Trump. I don't know what Chappelle's political leanings are. He's not uber left. He's not right. He just likes a funny joke. He makes fun of everyone. He is an incredible talent. He is a free speech warrior. They tried to cancel him over jokes that appeared to be homophobic and making fun of transgenders. And he's like, I don't give a rip. I'm a comedian. I'm making fun of everyone equally. And so he has stood on that ground, and he's really helped create the uncanceled culture. It's obviously the name of this show. Dave Chappelle was at the forefront of that. They were never going to cancel him. He doesn't care, and he's funny. Morgan Wallen got cut, the country star, using the N-word after drinking one night with his buddies. White people calling white people the N-word. Okay, a country dude. He's the biggest star in country. He was banned by every corporate radio station in America for almost a year. He is the biggest country star in America. Roseanne's making a comeback. We talked about that earlier this week. It's over. The charade they pulled on us is over. Chappelle says one of the most shocking things he saw in his life was the night Donald Trump won in 2016 against Hillary. Not that he won. He was working on Saturday Night Live that week. And he tells the story that he was in the writer's room on election night. They were getting ready to work all night and start writing jokes about the election outcome and things they saw in the election. They're all watching it together. The writers, the creative people, they're working on the opening sketch for that Saturday night show. This is real work, and they're working late into the night. Remember, that thing was called at like 1 in the morning. It was very late when that was called. So they're up and they're working. He said it wasn't the outcome. I told him when I got there that week, Trump could win. They didn't believe me. Say he could win. He said it was the reaction in the writer's room at Saturday Night Live. He said he's never seen anything like this. It shut the room down, unquote. Then in typical Dave Chappelle fashion, he makes a joke. He said these white people were crying like black people. And I thought, well, I kind of get the joke. They're sitting there in the room. He said it shut it down. They were done for the night. They came back the next day dejected. They tried to figure out how to work on this and do what they were going to do for the week. It just ruined everything. He said, I'd never, ever seen anything like it in my life. All these white people in the writer's room crying like black people that an election just happened and Donald Trump was president. I love Dave Chappelle. He's dirty, he's raunchy, he's filthy, he's whatever. I haven't seen all of his specials. I just like what he stands for. He is not Dave Portnoy, who had a meltdown this week arguing that free speech and killing Jews are the same thing. You can't even, I shouldn't go down this rabbit hole. It's out there if you want to see it. Portnoy melted down and ripped up a guy that works for him really, really badly on their radio show, their podcast. He's the guy at Barstool Sports. And he has said things in the past, some really, really, really terrible things about rape, that if you're a size 6 and you got really tight jeans on, you're flaunting it, you deserve to get raped, things like that, saying it as a joke. I believe it's okay to say anything as a joke. I believe it's okay to say anything that doesn't incite somebody to commit a crime. And now Portnoy, who's Jewish, is saying his host, who believes that people have the right to criticize Jews or say things, they say F the Jews or what, you have the right to say it. You don't have the right to incite somebody or to act on it. And Portnoy said, no, you don't have the right to say that. Now, he is not a free speech warrior because it's against Jewish people, and he doesn't like it. Dave Chappelle, that guy's for free speech. Trust me. I respect people like that. It doesn't always do them well. They can get in trouble, and it's a slippery slope. We're not always proud of our free speech in America. It's a very complicated thing, but it's a very important thing, and we are glad to see that. So way to go, Dave Chappelle, for speaking out about that and literally, culturally changing who and what we are today compared to what we were 10 years ago. I made a living for a long time hosting sports talk radio, criticizing coaches who said dumb things, and that happened a lot. We'll get to the dumbness of Matt Quatraro in a moment with the Royals yesterday as we talked to Mark. But Volodymyr Zelensky, I hate to compare anybody that's in a war leading a country to a coach, but he's suggested one of the dumbest things I've ever heard anybody suggest. He bombs the living daylights out of all those planes in Russia on Sunday, and now he's proposing a ceasefire. After Putin says he's going to retaliate in a big way, Putin told Trump told the world, Putin's coming after Ukraine in a big way to retaliate. Now Zelensky says, I want to meet you on Monday. We'll do it in person, and I want a ceasefire. I'll bet you do. Seriously, is this guy not very smart?
Russia kind of did the same thing, though. They dropped bombs, and they're like, oh, yeah, ceasefire. I don't know. So they're kind of both doing the same thing.
They all want the walk-off home run?
Yeah, exactly.
Golly. I mean, nuts. Absolutely nuts. Okay, Mark, let's talk a little Royals baseball here. Jack Caglione, our guy, we spent a lot of time earlier this week talking about him coming up. He's going to be a huge celebrity in Kansas City. I think he's going to be a great player. The jump from the minors to the big leagues is huge. What do you see? He is 1 for 13, batting .077.
I really enjoyed his double. His RBI double yesterday was, definitely the highlight. When you're in a doubleheader and you've got so many at-bats and you only get one hit, your batting average is going to look terrible after 3 games. That's just how it's going to be. So, I don't know. I think he's still going to be all right. They play the White Sox this weekend. I think he can get a few hits there, jump up his average, but we'll see.
Should they be concerned it's getting in his head a little?
Not yet, I don't think. Just a couple games.
All right. Well, let's get it going here in Chicago this weekend. Yeah. It is the White Sox, after all. The Royals split the doubleheader yesterday. Matt Quatraro had his worst day as Royals manager. He took Noah Cameron out from St. Joseph, Missouri, who went 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, and went to Schreiber in the bullpen, up 3-0. After the game, Quatraro would say, Well, 9 times out of 10, we go to Schreiber there in the 7th. Yeah, the one time you don't do it is when your pitcher has a 2-hit shutout going and only 82 pitches. Oh, my God, Q, what were you doing? The bullpen fell apart. The Royals lost the game 7-5.
Second player in MLB history. First 5 starts, 6 innings or more, under 1 earned run average.
Man, I can see a lot of tough decisions as a manager. Leaving him in is not a difficult decision.
Yeah, 1 more inning.
We were listening on the radio. I was driving with Jessica. We had some appointments yesterday. I said, Jessica, the rule's real simple. You're up 3-0. If the first guy gets on base, pull him.
Yep.
He gets the first guy out, leave him in. Second guy gets on base, pull him. Let him go till somebody gets on base.
Yeah.
You're up 3-0. It's not 1-0.
Yeah.
It's 3-0. Oh, my God, the bullpen was horrible. And in the nightcap, the bullpen was great, and they won that game. Salvador Perez, did you know this? He's the best doubleheader hitter in his history of baseball.
Yes, I did see that.
That's
yesterday.
crazy. He had 4 more hits yesterday in a doubleheader.
He kept ripping him off, and they kept saying it. I'm like, guys, settle down. He's not having a good year, and then he just rips off 2 great games.
I know, and I kind of remember now all these great doubleheaders he's had.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Probably against the Twins in Minnesota, too.
Yeah, he's had doubleheaders where he's homered in both games, which is pretty cool. The NBA Finals I turned off last night. Indy was behind at Oklahoma City, the best team in basketball, game 1 of the finals. It's not a big deal for me, but I was watching, and it wasn't a close game. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll check at the end. There's 2.5 minutes to go. It's a 9-point game. I get up at 5 o'clock this morning. I look at my phone, and the Pacers won on a last-second shot. How in the world did this happen?
They keep doing it. It's the 5th time this playoffs where they've come back in the last 2 minutes like that. It's the first time in NBA history, I think, in the last 2 minutes of a game, a team's been down by 9, they come back and win. It must be, I know it's not usually a team of destiny type thing, but the Indiana Pacers might be a team of destiny.
Okay, this is what they did to the Knicks, right?
Yeah.
They won these games late. Mm-hmm. So is this like coaching? It's all strategy at the end, and they find when there's no flow in the game and it slows down, which is what the last 2 minutes are, that's when the Pacers excel?
That's when they do their best. Yeah, they create turnovers. They hit their shots. The first part of the game, they were absolutely terrible, and then they just come back.
Tyrese Halliburton, with 0.3 of a second left, won the game. That was a wild thing to see. So you watch those things start to finish? I mean, it was up against the Royals game. What do you do?
No, I watched the 4th quarter.
Yeah. That's a good way to watch the NBA.
That's the best way to go.
I turned it over in the 4th quarter. They were down 13. I think they were down 13 points at one point in the 4th quarter, weren't they?
They were.
In the world, Indiana Pacers. Are we rooting for them? There's nobody to hate here. It's Oklahoma City and Indiana.
Yeah, 2 Midwest teams.
Is there a hateable player? Is there somebody to root against here?
Not really.
I don't know what the line is, but I'm going to bet on Oklahoma City in Game 2. Don't you think they'll win by like 17?
They got to win Game 2.
Yeah. And they'll win big, probably. That's usually the way that works.
Cover the spread.
Folks, have a great weekend. The Vince Show is coming up. I can't thank you enough for tuning in every day to Uncanceled and for listening to your favorite station, KCMO Talk Radio.